Welcome to Crossbody of Work. My name is Evan.
I'm Javier.
And we're looking at Daniel Bryan for the third time. Third time's a charm. That's right. Part 3, D-Bry.
I loved everything about this.
This episode was... all of the Daniel Bryan episodes have been excellent. They're so good.
Dude, I'm sorry. I understand that, it's Daniel Bryan, sure. Is Daniel Bryan's anyone's favorite wrestler of all time? Probably not, unless you were around what age are you an addicted wrestling fan as a kid? 7 to 11, I would say.
Yeah, around there.
Unless you were that age when Daniel Bryan was at his peak or around WrestleMania 30 or whatever, I feel like hey, I fucking love Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is in my top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time, but he's not my number 1. But I don't think I'm more attached to a wrestler as a person than I am for Daniel Bryan. Bryan Danielson, I've listened to his book a million times. I know way more details about his life than I should. I followed his journey in the independents, and then
it's like your boys. It's like you're hanging out.
Yeah, honestly, if I could meet any fucking wrestler, I would want to meet Bryan Danielson.
Fair.
Genuinely, he's just an awesome guy.
I think the only other person who would have Daniel Bryan as their number 1 wrestler all time is an ROH diehard, from the beginning,
but even then,
from the jump. There's probably somebody who's watching Bryan Danielson put people in knots.
I would say their favorite would be Samoa Joe, or if they don't care about people being pieces of shit, Austin Aries.
That's true. If you have no barometer for people being garbage, you love Austin Aries.
Speaking of people who aren't garbage, Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, Bryan Danielson, opposite of garbage. Nice man.
Actually yells at people for their garbage.
For being garbage. Yeah, we like people who call out other people on their shit. Before we get into the actual matches, all the housekeeping things, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Crossbody of Work. Subscribe wherever you're listening and leave us a 5-star review. Also, the merch store is open, fullpressshop.com. We're a couple weeks away from Evan having lots of free time. Tell me on Twitter what I should stream on Twitch.
Yes.
What things I should
now have
stream.
A lot of free time as well.
Yes.
So.
We might be streaming some things. If you want to hear more content from the boys, tell us what you want and we'll make it. We'll make it happen. We're men of the people. Do
you want us to dive bomb into Verdansk?
Oh yeah,
sure. Do you want us to race around Monza in Formula 1 2020? Sure.
You want me to race around Rainbow Road in Mario Kart? Sure.
I could do that too.
Sure. I am not good at Mario Kart.
I'm awful at it. I'm absolute dog water.
I thought I was good, and then I played a buddy of mine who isn't a video gamer at all, but I guess this is his game. It's his one game, and he mopped the floor with a bunch of us. We were like, holy shit, do not cross him.
I have a cousin that's like that, but with Smash.
Where are these
insanely good at Smash?
These video game ninjas, they pick one, they're like, I'm going to just be the best at this. I try to diversify my portfolio, Stocks, bonds. I don't know anything about that shit. All right.
I'm really good at 2K. That's about the only game that I would say I am elite levels at.
If there's a game that I would say I am the best at, there are 2. It is Left 4 Dead, and it is NBA Street Volume 2. I will fuck up anybody in NBA Street Volume 2.
I was never good at it.
I was so good
actual good. I just kind of fucked around.
I spent so much time playing it. So much
I don't doubt that. You seem like the type of guy who has way too much free time on his hands.
Correct. Anyways, WrestleMania 30. Last week we ended with Daniel Bryan winning the WWE Championship at SummerSlam and being screwed over by Randy Orton and Triple H. Now we're at the culmination of the Authority angle at WrestleMania 30. Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton versus Batista for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. You're like, hey, the Triple H match, that was really good. We covered it already. Go and listen to Triple H Part 3. It's in there.
Literally a month and a half ago or whenever.
Yeah, it's just back there. Just scroll a little bit. You'll find it. It's really good. I did not remember that Orton got the live band treatment for his
We literally
entrance.
covered this match already on this podcast.
I know, but I still didn't remember.
I remembered every inch of it. I remember everything about this match because it's
it's also the one that I've rewatched on my own before too.
Yeah, I mean, it's not because I've seen it a million times. This is probably the 4th time I've seen it, maybe the 5th. But yeah, we did this for the podcast, and I just remember that.
Is there any particular WrestleMania, particularly, or maybe pay-per-view in general that you're like, I go back to that one and I just rewatch it? Because I've
pay-per-views in general or matches?
I've rewatched 30. Like, Royal Rumble matches stand on their own, but I don't think there's like, I think aside from Royal Rumble 2000, there's not like a one that I would watch through the whole pay-per-view. But like, I've rewatched WrestleMania 30 on my own.
As far as full pay-per-views, no. Like, there are some, I mean, WrestleMania 21 obviously is my favorite pay-per-view of all time. Like, I would go back through and watch that if I ever wanted to burn like 3 hours or whatever. Like, just specific matches though that I go back and watch like all the time. Money in the Bank 2011, Cena and Punk. I watched that match. That's the match I've seen more than any.
You know what's a great time killer? Like late 80s through mid 90s Survivor Series. It's just the weirdest combination of people in comically
you have a lot
weird
of free time.
I do. People are like, did you watch this like new hot series? I'm like, no, but did you see Survivor Series 1991? Woo-wee!
Are you watching the Loki series on Disney Plus? Please, no. I'm watching Survivor Series from 1989.
I mean, I am watching Loki on Disney Plus, and I am burdened with glorious purpose.
We are not going to spoil it.
No, but it's really good. You should go watch it. This match, I mean, it's excellent. The storyline of Daniel Bryan being injured in the match before with Triple H and the Authority just being the worst people is prevalent throughout, and it's such an easy story to get behind.
Yeah.
Like, you can be a casual and be introduced to Daniel Bryan this day, and you're like, I want that guy to win. Fuck those other people.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I know it was by chance. This match was not supposed to happen. This was not supposed to be it at all. And honestly, looking at Bryan's run through the air quotes road to WrestleMania, it's very obvious that there was no intention of having Daniel Bryan in the main event of WrestleMania 30. But man, did WWE like on the fly piece together a fucking incredible story.
And this happens so often where WWE has a plan. They're like, this is going to be great. And then we're like, no, there's a better story that is organic and waiting for you. And then they're like, oh, I guess we should do that. And it works out.
It's different though, because like, spoiler alert, because we're just going to talk about it later. Kofi Mania. Like, Kofi Mania was something that happened one night and then exploded.
True.
Like, Kofi was always popular, but, you know, was anybody, like, really screaming for Kofi to win the WWE Championship?
Aside from Xavier Woods, no.
Like, Daniel Bryan was like, it could have been the pre-show match. It could have been whatever match. And there was Yes chance. There was Daniel Bryan chance. Like, the guy was just on fire. Throughout the fall, he feuded with ORton, had that goddamn terrible story. Like, I hated that run that he had with ORton in the fall, where it was just like false finishes and all this stupid shit, dusty
crooked
finishes.
referee Scott Armstrong. I'm
crooked
like,
referees, all that jazz. If we're going to talk about the Daniel Bryan story pre-30, we also need to mention the stinger that he got in that match against ORton on Raw, I think it was, where he did the missile drop kick, got a stinger in his neck, could not get up, could not move. Nope. They had to stop the match and everything. He almost had a fight with Triple H in the backstage area. That is not kayfabe, by the way. That was a shoot. He legit almost fought Triple H. And all that, you know, he had the feud with the Wyatts, where that awesome moment on Raw in the cage match where he turns on the Wyatt family. He's doing the Yes chants, and I think it's Providence, Rhode Island.
Big shout out to Providence.
We're going crazy for it, and you know, we get to the point where CM Punk is like, yeah, fuck this. After the Royal Rumble, he's not gonna have his match against Triple H, and they're like, I guess we gotta put this fucking garden gnome in the main event.
The star of Romeo and Juliet, Daniel Bryan. And you're right, the Yes movement had taken off. Like, the pre-match promo package is just showing how prevalent the Yes movement, like the Yes chants, were in everyday life, like in sports. Yeah. Like, I remember the San Francisco Giants, they used the Yes chant.
What was it, Minnesota? One university in Minnesota for the basketball team was like going off with, or Michigan maybe, going off with the Yes chants, and that was like it was legit a thing on Sports Center. Like, he was a crossover like guy, and fuck me, like, just it was honestly insane. I didn't know about the Yes movement because I just wasn't watching, and I was already out on Sports Center at that point because I am a person that has a brain and watches sports. So I was like, I don't do the Sports Center thing anymore. And yeah, it's just one of those things where like we get to WrestleMania 30. I've told the story before on the podcast. I'm at a sports bar with my dad that I used to always frequent with him all the time. And they just have WrestleMania 30 playing. You know, that's where I saw the Undertaker streak end. And then like I missed the opening match. I either wasn't paying attention or we just weren't there yet at that point. But like by the time the main event came around and, you know, fucking American Dragon Bryan Danielson's up there and he's, you know, he's having his moment. And you know, that's really what kind of set the wheel running again. That's what brought me back to wrestling was like, holy shit, that guy that I used to watch in bingo halls when I was fucking 10 years old is holding up the two world titles in the main event of WrestleMania.
He's got a huge beard and he's winning the world title. What the fuck is going on?
That guy was wrestling Kenta with an eye patch, and now he's like...
yeah, Pirate Bryan. We don't really need to go through the match beat by beat, because the main storyline of the match is Daniel Bryan has a hurt shoulder from the first match. Like, Triple H lost, and then particularly went out of his way to fuck up Bryan's arm more than usual. Orton and Batista do spend part of the beginning of the match fighting each other, and then they clue into the fact that, like, we should get rid of Bryan. Which you think they would know that from the jump, but they don't clue into that for a long time.
Yeah. Also, like, isn't Batista supposed to be a babyface?
Yeah, the fans fucking hate him.
I understand. No. But I mean, like, just character-wise, he's supposed to be a babyface.
I feel like about 2 weeks before they realized that, like, yeah, no, Batista's also a heel. Like, he was the tweener of the two, and then they're like, all right, we have two heels in this match, and Bryan.
Admittedly, he was always a weird babyface. Like, even at the height of Batista in 2006 through 2008, when he was the world, you know, big gold belt guy, it always kind of felt weird, him as a babyface, because he didn't look like a babyface.
No, he doesn't look like a babyface at all.
Even when he had the hair, he looked like a heel. He was an excellent heel in 2009, 2010, that whole run. You know, when he decapitates Ray. We've covered that on this podcast. Go watch the Batista episode.
Yeah, episode like 9.
Somewhere in that
a while
range.
ago,
you know, it was a fun one to do. Batista's an awesome heel, so you know, seeing him here, and you're putting him up against a guy who, in my opinion, honestly, is the most detestable heel outside of the Miz of the last like 20 years.
Yeah,
like, this guy,
Randy Orton is one of the best heels just ever.
But he's also such a good babyface.
He's such a fun babyface.
I really don't think that Randy Orton gets the credit that he deserves as a wrestler. Like, Randy Orton's fucking amazing. Yeah. Randy Orton still to this day, I think, is legitimately, if he's not the best in-ring worker, short of like, you know, obviously your AJ Styles, your Kenny Omegas.
In terms of like a homegrown WWE talent, there is no better worker. There's no better WWE like in-ring worker. Like, zero. I would say he has better in-ring work than John Cena.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And before everybody goes, but the Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, those guys were around during the territory days.
They are not homegrown talents.
Yes, we're talking straight up WWE pipeline, all that jazz. Yeah. He is number one, and it's honestly not even close. It's by a country mile, in my opinion.
Fair. In terms of the match, are there any particular moments that you're like, that's like a moment that stands out for me? I love that moment or that one particular thing.
I love the way the match starts off immediately. Like, Bryan immediately goes and drop kicks Orton into the corner.
Yeah.
And then Batista sets him up for the Batista bomb. He does a Hurricane Rana. You know, it's a way of starting the match hot because you know you're going to slow it down completely.
Yeah.
But also, like, giving people, like, this, like, quick energy burst because we kind of did just have The Undertaker lose his streak, like, 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. So, we're still mentally recovering from that.
Yeah. We gotta figure that out. So, hey, here's this babyface that everyone here loves. Let's just give him in a quick burst, really quick.
The spot that I like is eventually, you know, Bryan is getting taken out by there's a crooked referee. Scott Armstrong gets brought out. Triple H and Steph come out.
What a great tracksuit, Triple H.
Great tracksuit. There's the Batista bomb and a kick out by Bryan, and Triple H gets mad at Scott Armstrong, like, why the fuck didn't you count faster? And then eventually Bryan sends Batista into the ring post, kicks Armstrong in the head, and hits a suicide dive onto Armstrong, Triple H, and Steph.
Doesn't touch Stephanie at all.
No, like Stephanie is off to the side and kind of gets pushed down.
She
but
caught the wind and somehow twisted her ankle.
Even the visual of Stephanie getting some form of comeuppance, because that's the thing, is Steph never ever gets comeuppance. So like, I was like, oh my god, cathartic. Like,
and that kind of bled into the story that they would have through the summer with her and Brie Bella, where even then she didn't get her comeuppance because of fucking Nikki Bella. I wish you died in the womb.
I wish you died in the womb. Oh, we should focus on the Bella twins at some point in the future. Just so
we 100% will. They retired. We can.
Yeah, exactly. They're retired now. Also, my only note was when Bryan unstraps himself from the stretcher because he was getting stretchered out after a Batista bomb RKO combo through a table, which was fantastic.
Like, why did Randy agree to that? By the way,
I don't know. I do. Why?
I don't like. You're just gonna fuck yourself up, and Batista's gonna be fine.
Batista just stood there, and the way that Bryan unstraps himself from the stretcher, like, you cannot contain this man. He's just like ripping shit off. It's like he's trying to get out of the hospital. He's like, get me the fuck out of here. I got a title to win, and he does. He does win a title.
It's very much not like Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead. It's the opposite of that.
Take that and opposite. Bryan, of course, would eventually get Batista to tap out to the yes lock because Batista hit a Batista bomb on ORton. Bryan then caught Batista with the running knee, yes lock, and then the call of tap out Batista, which last episode we talked about how Michael Cole fucking hated and buried Daniel Bryan on commentary. Now, a couple years later, here he is being like, yeah, you got it, Bryan. It's like, dude, we remember. People don't forget.
I will say, this is his best performance. I will still to this day say this is Michael Cole's best performance of his career. Yeah. This match, the entirety, from beginning, middle to end, like the call at the end, the miracle kid, the miracle on Bourbon Street, the impossible dream has become reality. Like, I didn't even write that down. I just know that, like, because it's such a memorable call. It's one of those things. It's like fucking Hogan slamming Andre. It's like, those incredible calls of just people like, geeking the fuck out, like Michael Cole geeking out for Daniel Bryan winning. It was an incredible call. It really gave it like a real feel because you could hear the emotion in his voice. Even fucking JBL like had some decent calls throughout this match. And if JBL is having a good call, something's going right.
Something special that week. So moving on, we're gonna do.
No, we can't. Oh. There's more here because like. There's so much emotion that happens even after the match. There's confetti everywhere. Bryan's obviously doing the yes chants with the 2 titles, which must have sucked. It genuinely just must have sucked. Like, the guy had wrestled 2 matches and was already pretty banged up from his injuries. So, like, and those titles got to at least be like 30 pounds.
Yeah, they have some weight to them.
Like, can you imagine having to do 2 30-pound things? And just, like, I do 30-pound dumbbells for my fucking like incline chest press, and I can only get up like. Admittedly, I do this after a couple of exercises, but I can only do about 10 before I'm like, okay.
And Bryan is doing the yes chant for a while. He is committed to the yes chant.
Yeah, he really is. He is committed to it. Eventually, he points to the audience and like waves over, and his niece comes into the ring. His sister comes into the ring. They start doing the yes chant. It's a whole family thing. The Danielsons are out in full effect.
I think Connor the Crusher's there too.
Connor the Crusher was there. I don't know if he comes into the ring or not.
I think he goes to meet him at ringside, which is like, but that always.
Connor was there. It's another emotional moment, dude. This whole thing was like, I didn't cry. It got a little misty. Yeah. Not gonna lie, got a little misty. But it's just one of those things where I fucking love this. And Evan, go ahead.
Let's move to things that will make people cry. We're looking at Daniel Bryan's retirement promo. February 8th, 2016. My first note, pain. Bryan has to retire. He has been told by doctors that he has had too many concussions. His neck is in too bad of a place that he just is physically no longer able, like he's no longer cleared to compete by WWE doctors. He has to retire. There was a tweet that was sent out earlier that day that was what was going to be announced. And then the show kind of coalesced around this whole thing celebrating Daniel Bryan's career. This promo, this gets me. Wow.
Oh, Dude, I remember watching that live throughout the entire day. Obviously, I was stressed about it. I really was wishing it would be a swerve. I knew it
I was
wasn't.
so hopeful, and I knew
knew
it
it
was
wasn't.
stupid to be hopeful. Yeah.
Like, I knew it was legitimately over. But like, I just had that one little piece
That
of me
nugget
that
of
was just
hope. You're
like,
like, please,
it's wrestling, please, Daniel. I know, just
a
come
Mark
on, don't
Henry
do this to me.
situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I was devastated, dude. When he was going, like, I just honestly, when I just saw him out there with his flannel and all that stuff, I by that point I was just like, shit. Like, I just knew the second he was coming out, I knew.
Yeah.
He starts, he takes in the crowd for a moment, and I remember when he did that live. That's when I started crying. I legitimately started crying.
The way he says, "I've loved this being wrestling in a way that I've never loved anything else," was like, that's really emotional. But the line that gets me is when he's like, "I took a test that said that my brain might not be as okay as I thought it was," and I'm like, that's like such a real raw thing that we are able to kind of push aside when it comes to watching wrestlers. We know that they're sacrificing their body for our entertainment. We know that that's what's happening, but to then have a wrestler who we like deeply care about as a fan base be like, my brain might not be as okay as I wanted it to be. Like, oh yeah, this is their lives. Like, they are going to exist as people after wrestling, and we lose so many people in wrestling so young that they thought of like Daniel
Even
Bryan,
to stuff like this,
who very openly like has a wife and child, like that. Ooh, that gets me.
yeah. I mean, and he goes on. I mean, he was talking about how, like, 5 months into his career, the guy's 18 years old, and
He
he
had
already had
3
three
concussions.
concussions.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it just obviously built up from that point. We covered a lot of his ROH matches. You can't tell me he didn't have at least one from one of those
just
five
from those
matches
5
that I
matches.
saw.
Yeah,
Yeah, it built up to the point they told him he couldn't do it anymore. For you mentioned he fought it for a long time, because he loved this in a way that he never loved anything else. Which, fuck, man, that I think that's the point where the crowd started chanting "Thank you, Daniel," and like, I was chanting "Thank you, Daniel" back in 2016 when this was happening.
yeah.
Just unironically on my couch, fucking 10:30 or whenever the hell this happened. I was just saying "Thank you, Daniel."
Yeah. And then when he talks about the way that he met he met Brie through wrestling, and like wrestling gave him a wife and a family. It's like,
gave him everything.
Yeah.
Gave him literally everything.
Oh, this one's pain.
Dude, it's just fucking, and I remember, he said he felt every emotion, but today he woke up and he felt gratitude.
Yeah.
16 years he was doing this. So, it's one of those things where he was able to do something that, he felt like he was meant to do for 16 years. That's awesome. That truly is awesome. Wrestling brought him his wife, his daughter, Birdie. Back then he didn't have a son, but now he does have a son.
Yeah.
Good old buddy.
And now let's move to Unpain. Promo 2 years later. Guess what, motherfuckers? He's back. The unretirement promo 2 years later, March 20th, 2018. So just over 2 years later. He had been SmackDown general manager with Shane. He did that role exceptionally well. And he would host Talking Smack with Renee, which was
did that exceptionally well.
Awesome. Talking Smack was like, that era of SmackDown is, I think, my probably second favorite wrestling era ever. I was covering SmackDown specifically for Daily DDT, and I was just like, I'm lucky. I am watching some of the best fucking wrestling right now.
Just after the brand split, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. Genuinely. And so then it turns out he has been cleared to return to the ring. And so he comes out to tell us all that he's coming back. And hot dog, this is a good time.
Dude, I remember, so I had started college by that point, and I had started going to UMass Amherst. So by that point I was gone from here in Boston. I was out in Amherst, and I was dorming, and I just wasn't able to watch wrestling because I don't have a TV in my dorm. But I remember when this was announced, I found a live stream of Raw.
Yeah,
SmackDown. I had to pull it up. There was no way I wasn't going to watch this because it genuinely was just that important to me. And the thing that always gets me when it comes to this promo is he starts off with kayfabe shit, like talking about Sammy and Kevin and how Shane, the tagging Shane and all that stuff was not cool and all that jazz. And then he goes, he just starts talking about how grateful he is, and he just keeps saying the word grateful, and it's like, hey, Daniel, I forget this was the grateful promo. That's what I dubbed this. This isn't the return promo. It's the grateful promo.
Is.
He's just
he
grateful
does talk a lot about gratitude
50 times in 2 minutes.
And then he talks about how he starts tearing up talking about Brie. I was like, that gets me. Like, that gets me, dog. And she's like, she's the one who told him to fight it and talk to the specialist about getting cleared. And she's the one who kept saying, like, go to another opinion. Go to this doctor. You've been cleared by one. Go to a second doctor. Get cleared again. I know you want to come back. And it's like, thanks, Brie. Thank you for bringing up back Daniel Bryan.
Told him to fight for his dreams.
Yeah.
It's funny, too, because, like, throughout the whole, like, retirement phase, especially in the last, like, year, building up to this, like, we had always seen those things about, Daniel Bryan is probably, he's waiting for his WWE contract to expire or whatever, maybe his contract has been frozen or whatever, all that jazz. And, he really wants to head over to Japan because he could probably he's been cleared by all these doctors. He could probably go to New Japan and all that stuff and keep wrestling again. And it built up to the point where, like, it was undeniable, the guy could wrestle. And for WWE to keep him on ice was dumb because he is a star.
We're all waiting.
He wants to do this. So he finally was able to do that. He said that Brie told him to go see a specialist. And he just told him to see another. And when he got cleared there, he went to see another one. And then when he got cleared there, she told him to see another one. And they just kept going with this pattern until eventually he went to WWE's doctors. And finally they cleared him. And Bryan Danielson Daniel Bryan fights for his dreams, so Bryan Danielson needs to fight for his. And I think that's, like, the most powerful thing that Bryan said here.
And he talks about not being sure where and when he'll be back in the ring, but obviously this is March. And he then just stares at the WrestleMania sign, and the crowd's like, WrestleMania, like, we're gonna get him at WrestleMania. And he's like, do you think that's a good idea? Like, what an easy pander to the crowd for that one. But, like, the fans are like, yes, fucking please have a match at WrestleMania. Yeah.
And it's funny, even right before that, I mean, he thanked everyone. He thanked WWE and their doctors because they thought about him, the person, not him, the wrestler.
Yeah.
He thanks the fans for never giving up on him, which never. Like, the fans were all, like, every time he came out.
Yeah.
Every time he came out, he was cheered like crazy, all that jazz. And then he teared up again, talking about Brie. And Evan, I swear to God, if you don't do this with Amy, that's the bar.
That's the bar. That is the bar.
The bar. You have to be above that bar.
The bar is Brie and Bryan, which I think is fair. We get massive yes chants. Get excited.
Yeah, he looks up at it and scene. We'll talk about it after the break.
We are going to talk about it after the break. When we get back, we're looking at Daniel Bryan's first match back from his retirement. Back from the break, WrestleMania 34. It is Daniel Bryan teaming with the best wrestler in the world, Shane McMahon, to face Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, those scoundrels from Canada.
I don't remember this match at all.
They had been fired by Daniel Bryan in response to it consistently attacking Shane and fucking with Shane's life, essentially. This is when Shane was a babyface. It's a weird idea. And if they win, they are rehired back on SmackDown. This one is part of the buildup was when Kevin Owens headbutt Vince McMahon, which was awesome.
It was a great moment.
Yeah.
Almost as shocking as when Sami Zayn turned heel at Hell in a Cell prior, like,
and
October.
Saved Owens from a giant jump off a cell by Shane McMahon, because that man loves jumping off stuff.
Moment, I'll never forget that when Sami pulled Kevin out of the way. Because it's
huge swerve.
I love Sami Zayn. As you know, I don't know if the people know, I am Sami Zayn's number one fucking fan. I absolutely love that man. So when him and Owens aligned, Steen Generico coming back together, and they were my favorite tag team when I was a kid. So it's like, I got to see that again in their heels, and I know how good of a heel Sami Zayn could be.
Yep.
So it's like, it's just, obviously, at the time I was kind of like, no, Sami could be such a great baby face. Just make him a baby face. Keep him as a baby face. In retrospect, they probably made the right decision.
Yeah.
The guy's an awesome heel. He's an even better babyface, yes. And when they eventually turn him and he becomes one of the biggest babyfaces this company has, it's going to be so awesome. But for now, we'll take him the way he is. But this also reminded me of the Yep movement.
Yep.
Fucking love that. I loved how Shane had diverticulitis at the time. He had to have surgery or whatever for all that. And they kind of turned that into a storyline.
Yeah.
Like into a part of the storyline. There was a lot of real life shit that was like put into the storyline, which is pretty dope.
So the match actually happens. WrestleMania 34 was in New Orleans, which is kind of nice because Bryan's first match back is the site of his biggest triumph and a huge pop. And Bryan's clearly emotional taking in the pop and the fact that he gets to go wrestle again. Like he's clearly really soaking it in.
Pop too.
Yeah. Huge.
When his music hits, massive pop.
So Shane and Bryan are out first. Owens and Zayn attack from behind while their music is playing. Those bastards. I love them.
Helluva kick. So
immediate Helluva kick to Bryan. It's like, I hope your neck is okay. Fucking crack.
Helluva kick, apron power bomb from Owens, which is exactly how Sami Zayn died in kayfabe in NXT.
Correct. Yeah.
Bryan is now dead.
The first 12 minutes, or well, not 12 minutes, like 6 minutes of the match is Daniel Bryan being dead.
Yeah, Shane calls for the match to go on, even though he's fucked up and by himself.
Because he's the best wrestler in the world.
Hits Kevin with some of the worst punches I've ever seen in the world.
I just wrote excellent Shane punches. We love
so
Shane
bad, dude. So bad. And obviously they start attacking his midsection. Shane starts selling the midsection because I don't know if you noticed or not, but Shane had diverticulitis. He's got
I've heard
midsection.
Shane is getting fucking wrecked for the first part of this match.
Yeah.
The first time he gets any real offense is the coast to coast. Like that's like his big thing.
Yeah. It's really a lot of midsection targeting from both Sami and Owens. Shane fights back like a couple times, but there's always a way to fight back, because Sami hits a blue thunder bomb at some point for a near fall here. Shane crawls for a tag at one point. Bryan isn't there.
Nobody there.
Like, fuck. Eventually, this leads to what you were talking about, the coast to coast. Sami misses a Helluva kick in the corner. Shane sets him up in the Tree of Woe, tosses Kevin to the outside, and then hits the coast to coast.
It's great.
Owens broke up the pin with a senton, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that. Is this when Bryan emerges, or that it's just after this?
Yeah, so Owens drags Sami to the corner himself, makes the tag, then hits a frog splash on Shane. 1, 2, out of nowhere, Bryan comes flying in and breaks the pin.
He's alive.
Owens misses a cannonball in the corner. Shane isn't able to get the hot tag because Sami puts on a headlock. Shane hits a back suplex off the headlock, tags Bryan in, and instead of a hot tag, we get something even better, which is Daniel Bryan for the first time in like 3 years just milking his moment because he is about to wrestle for the first time.
Yeah. And he takes out both guys. Huge clothesline to Zayn. I like the baseball slide to Owens. It's like, hey, smarter. I'm not doing a suicide dive. I'm going to do the baseball slide. I've grown.
He did. His little running clothesline that he does, the super fast one.
Yeah.
He was like extra fast on this one.
He had some rockets going for him.
That brother was flying.
And then we get the diving knee off the apron, which I think happens in every match we covered this week.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, everyone has one of those diving knees off the apron.
I mean, it's one of his like signature.
It's a signature move. It's really good. Drop kick to Zayn in the ring, and then we get where there's both Owens in one corner and Zayn in the other corner, and Bryan's just doing his running back and forth, doing drop kicks. That might be the happiest Daniel Bryan is.
Yes,
it's when he gets to run back and forth, kicking people.
No, it's when he's putting someone in a submission hold. That's super random.
That's true. Anytime he's allowed to hit cattle mutilation, it's just like, When
he's in a Greco-Roman knuckle lock and he's able to contort the bodies and shit into some sort of like I don't want to spoil the last match on this podcast, but Evan knows what I'm talking about. When he is just manipulating the shit out of his opponent in multiple ways, that is the happiest Daniel Bryan has ever been.
That's true.
In a wrestling ring. Okay, so Owens holds up Bryan in the corner. Sami hits a Helluva kick for a near fall. Owens hits a super kick to Shane when he's on the apron to knock him off. He eventually grabs Daniel says you should have stayed retired, hits a pop-up powerbomb for a near fall, which was impactful because the pop-up powerbomb at that moment in time was Owens' actual finisher.
Yeah.
So Bryan has now eaten a haluva kick and a pop-up powerbomb in pretty short time period, and he kicked out of both.
Yeah, but he's fresh. He's got 3 years rest.
Exactly.
Yeah, Owens saying you should have stayed retired. Just another notch in the Kevin Owens is my favorite in-ring talker of all time.
He's so good at it. He really is.
Yeah, he just sounds genuine when he does it too.
Yeah. Shane dumps Owens, then dives on him from the apron. Bryan fires up when Sammy starts throwing some haymakers at him.
Yeah.
And he says, fuck this. Just starts slapping him around. He hits the yes kicks. He's doing his yes chant in the corner. Running knee. Applies the yes lock. Kind of immediately, Sammy's tapped
Zayn
out.
is like, I am done with this. Taps out immediately. He's like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm done. Fuck it.
And Daniel Bryan wins his return match.
You'd love to see it. A good return back. I wish that he was going to be in a singles match in his return, but I understood the logic of putting him in a tag. It just made
sense with the story.
Yeah, the storyline made sense. Let's move to an excellent singles match, an exhibition-style singles match. Survivor Series 2018, Daniel Bryan, who is WWE Champion at this point, taking on Universal Champion Brock Lesnar, a fucking dream match. Also, Bryan is a heel. He had just returned from a very real, very emotional retirement, not like 7 months earlier.
And had an okay storyline feud with The Miz.
Yep. And then he won the title by turning heel and low-blowing AJ Styles in the nards.
Like 3 days before this pay-per-view.
Literally 3 days before, because he was supposed to be co-team captain of SmackDown with The Miz, and instead just hit AJ in the Styles and turned heel and won the WWE title, which set up a legit dream match of Bryan versus Lesnar, where everyone's like, oh my god, we get to see Bryan versus Lesnar. And then they went, oh my god, Bryan's neck.
We also didn't know what he was. Like, he maybe turned heel on AJ. Maybe. We don't know if this is like going to be a heel thing for AJ.
Out yet. Yeah.
It was just kind of cool, but it really was awesome because, like, just think about the year prior to that. We were supposed to get Jinder Mahal against Brock Lesnar. And, like, a couple weeks before that happened, AJ, won the title off of Jinder. So now we're getting AJ against Brock. And, the stars were aligning, and it really seemed like AJ was going to defend the title. He was going to get his comeuppance on Brock again, maybe. We were going to get that match again. And no, Daniel Bryan wins, and Daniel Bryan might be a heel. It was confusing. We didn't exactly know what was happening there, but Daniel Bryan's not a WWE champion. He had just returned earlier in the year, so it's kind of like, whoa, we didn't. I never thought he'd win the title again. I generally didn't think they'd put it back on.
I thought they would, but I also didn't think that he would turn heel so quickly upon returning. Though, in retrospect, it was a beautiful decision.
It really was.
It worked out beautifully. This match, Bryan is on something to start this match. He's mocking Lesnar's little shuffle that he does.
Yeah, almost immediately you knew that he was heel.
He's fucking with Lesnar the whole way, and then gets caught with a huge club by the man known as Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I mean, when the match starts, Bryan immediately goes for a basement dropkick on Brock's knees in the corner. He taunts Brock, like you mentioned, throughout. My favorite thing was when he was mocking Lesnar, but it was kind of like he was doing like an old like a coal miner's dance where he's just a little cartoon.
There's gold in them hills.
Bryan kicks Lesnar, who catches the kick, and then, like you mentioned, stiffly. Stiff.
Just clubs
the fuck out of him. German suplex #1, and Bryan is literally sent across the ring.
And then we get a second German suplex, re-rack, and Bryan dead again.
Bryan drags him Brock drags him into the middle again, tosses him to the corner, hits an overhead belly to belly, a second overhead belly to belly, a third overhead belly to belly, and then he kicks Bryan out of the ring so that Lesnar could pose with his title.
And Paul Heyman is looking on like an accessory to murder. Like his face on the side, he's like, oh, I mean, is he dead? He looks kind of poking with a stick, just to be sure. Bryan gets tossed in the barricade. Then we get a bear hug spot. You know how much we love bear hug spots. It's allowed by Brock.
It's only allowed by Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is the only person that can put someone in a bear hug.
It's him. That's it.
It's okay because it's Brock. Like, if Brock Lesnar put me in a bear hug, I'm dead. Like, that is just what is happening.
I will crumble to dust like Thanos just snapped, right? And then Bryan gets there's an overhead suplex from the bear hug, which is great. Lesnar picks him up for an F5, says, "Good night, everybody." God damn it, Brock Lesnar, you're a funny man. You're a funny guy.
He picks him up by the hair.
Yeah, he does.
He picks him up for the F5.
And then he picks Bryan up instead of going with the 3. He could have probably gotten the 3 and said he picks Bryan up off the mat. Like, no. I'm not done.
Yeah, Bryan kicks him in the face. He kicks him in the face again. So Bryan's dead on the floor. Brock bends over to pick him up. Bryan kicks him up in the face. He does that twice. Brock is like, fuck this guy. Picks him up for a second F5. Kyoto gets in the way for some reason. So when the swing happens, Bryan hits him, lands on his feet. Kyoto is out. So what does Daniel Bryan do? He low blows the shit out of Brock Lesnar.
He kicks him. Right in his sables.
And then Brock is selling it because he's just been kicked in the nards. He turns around and immediately Daniel Bryan hits him with the running knees. 1, 2, Brock kicks out. And we are live. The crowd is unglued.
Ready. Bryan with kicks to Lesnar to keep him down. He does the spot where
they're stiff, by the way.
Where he grabs Lesnar's arms and he's just fucking stomping.
Yeah, the dead man stomps.
Yeah. Bryan avoids an F5 at one point. They both end up at the outside. Bryan sends Lesnar into the post and then hits the running knee off the apron. I'm like, this is insane. Bryan's gonna win.
By the way, Bryan's crazy man breathing throughout this match is fucking excellent.
It's so weird.
It's so good though.
It sounds like he gives off like Unabomber vibes.
Yeah, eventually. Oh my god! While looking like Charles Manson.
Like he's just been in a cabin in the woods this whole time.
Anyways, so it's not just that a random corporation is just unleashing monsters into the cabin.
No, it's just Bryan.
Okay, so Lesnar catches Bryan on a suicide dive, rams him into the post. Lesnar just tries to hit Bryan with the steps, but it misses and then ricochets into him because he tries to ram the steps into Bryan, who is up against the corner in the post.
Yep.
Bryan moves, ricochets, hits Brock right in the face. Another flying knee drop from the apron. Bryan hits a running knee again for a near fall. That's 2 now. He's eaten 2 of those.
Yep.
Most people don't even kick out of it once. Brock has eaten 2.
Brock is different.
Chop block by Bryan. And he slams Lesnar's leg into the post immediately because that is what you do. You try to take the guy's leg away because he is a fucking ball of muscle and rage.
Yeah. He's like a muscly Kool-Aid man, though. He's still very top heavy. And then missile drop kick. Lesnar does pick Bryan up for an F5. Lesnar's knee gives out immediately, though, because it's been worked on so extensively by Bryan. It all makes sense.
And Bryan, having the quickest reactions known to man, puts on a yes lock.
Immediately morphs it into a yes lock the second that Lesnar's down. We're getting just like shots to Lesnar's head. He's just trying to keep him down.
Stiff palm strikes, dude. Like into the forearm rub type situation. He is clubbing the fuck out of Brock's face.
Lesnar looks like Grimace. That motherfucker is purple. He is purple. Which
Brock is so good at selling, dude. Like
every time he sells, he turns to a different color. He's like a mood ring of selling. It's so weird. He just turns a weird color.
I'll never forget. So there used to be this place in Somerville, which is literally just outside of Boston, called Good Times, which was like this indoor like arcade / like amusement. It's kind of weird too. So it's kind of like Dave and Buster's, but it also had like go-karting. It also had like a roller coaster and like these weird like water like bumper car type things. That was kind of cool. It was an awesome place inside this big warehouse. It shut down. It was very disappointing. But one time when I went there, I had enough tickets and I got myself a mood ring. And I had the mood ring for all of like less than 24 hours because the next day at a pizzeria, I was like looking at it. 1 second, the mood ring is on my finger. The next minute, the mood ring is now gone. It has disappeared. I never saw it again.
And we never saw it again.
Anyways, Bryan smashing his face. Lesnar powers out of it because he is 3 times the size of Daniel Bryan.
Because he's a gorilla in a man suit.
Bryan puts him in like a triangle choke position. He can't get it fully cinched in. Lesnar just picks him up, rotates him in midair as he is picking the man up from the triangle position. F5, 1, 2, 3. Brock Lesnar is legitimately one of the best wrestlers to have ever done it. I don't care what anyone says.
I know that people got annoyed with the fact that he was never around and the way that he was booked. Brock Lesnar is so fucking good at wrestling. And then you match him up with Daniel Bryan, who's also so very good at the wrestling. You're going to get a good match.
This was also a really cool streak for Brock because, like, right after that in Royal Rumble, he faces Finn Balor in that awesome match too. You know, he had obviously had the insane match with AJ the year prior to that, which was one of the best matches of 2017. And you know, Brock is fucking good, people.
Just the way that they treat Brock as a special attraction was actually perfect. He was a world beater.
Who gives a fuck if he beat Braun Strowman super quick? I didn't want Braun Strowman to beat him anyways.
No.
Now Samoa Joe, that's a different story. Yeah, Samoa Joe probably should have won. But
that would have been awesome.
That I'm okay if that Joe lost. I just wish he had lost in a more competitive fashion.
Yeah, fair.
Personally.
Let's take our last break. When we get back, Kofi Mania. Back from the break. It is probably my favorite angle / story / match ever.
/ thing.
The most invested I've been in a wrestling thing ever. Even when I was a child, I was not this invested.
I was super invested in it. I'm not gonna lie. Kofi Mania snagged me along for the ride too. Obviously not as much as you. You were all in on.
I have been ride or die with New Day since the second they debuted. Even when they were like, we're like a weird gospel thing. I was like, these are 3 very talented wrestlers. I always loved Kofi Kingston. Big E, the second he debuted, I was like, I don't know what he's about, but I love him. He's huge.
Big man meat.
Big meaty man, it's that meat. I'm like, yes, I'm in. Sold. And then Woods, the more I got to know about Woods, I'm like, okay, like an underrated wrestler, but also just like a very funny individual.
Super charismatic guy.
And then once they let them be their charismatic heel selves, I was like, sold. I love them. They're amazing. Kofi Mania, like we were talking about it earlier, like it was something that just instantaneously happened.
It's organic.
Struck when the iron was hot. It was right. So we're talking about Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan, WWE Championship, WrestleMania 35. Wild to think this is only a year after Daniel Bryan has been back in the ring. Daniel is in his full heel mode, and he is calling people fickle.
Fickle!
He is the environmental champion. And you know what, people? He was right.
It worked.
Pretty much everything he said, he was right.
Yeah. All that fucking soda with the high fructose corn syrup, you fucking animals.
I don't ballpark food really. That's like $20 for a burger the size of your fucking mom. Yeah. Like, no. You're all stupid. When he got his environmentally friendly WWE Championship made, which is gorgeous, by the way.
I have this in my note here. That hemp belt would be my favorite of all time if it wasn't for that weird, like, green kind of marbly color. I didn't like that. That, like, it's, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like the greeny blue light color. I didn't like that bit of it. Aside from that, though, it was perfect.
Beautiful, beautiful title. So the story, of course, Kofi managing to earn the WWE Championship, get a spot after years of being the mid-card guy. We get this, and I was so ready for WWE to hurt me. I was convinced, I'm like, the logical conclusion of this story is for Kofi to win. Even if they don't keep the title on him forever, the logical conclusion is that Kofi will win. And then I thought about it, and I was like, WWE fucking hates logical conclusions. So...
yeah, I mean, you had the hope because literally the guy that he was going against was the person that it happened to. Like, that is the best part about this story, in my opinion, is not even the whole Kofi side of the angle. It's the story being told of, you know, Kofi being the guy who's been there 11 years, never had a WWE title match. And finally, he was going to get his match. He finally was going to get his one-on-one match at WrestleMania. All this is a big spot for him. And who is on the other side of that for him? But Daniel Bryan.
5 years earlier was in the same spot. Yeah. And even in the build-up, called Kofi a B+ player.
Yeah. All that jazz. it was just perfect storytelling. It really was. It just could not have aligned better for WWE. I don't know. That obviously probably wasn't the plan for them. I honestly don't even know what the WrestleMania match would have been if it wasn't Kofi, to be honest.
No idea.
Maybe it would have been Sheamus. It's always just going to end up being Daniel Bryan and Sheamus anyways.
It's always Sheamus.
So, yeah, I mean, we get here. We get to the moment. Also, why is this over 2 years ago, but it feels like it happened like last year?
Because the last year and a half has been a weird flattening yet extending of time.
I know, right?
I have no idea when things happened in the last 18 months.
Seriously. Anything from March of 2020 to now, just could have happened at any point.
Somebody was like, because Tampa Bay just won their second Stanley Cup in that time frame. In my head, I was like, didn't they win the cup before this all happened? They're like, no, that happened during the pandemic. I was like, I don't fucking remember. No, I don't remember any of it.
McSqueeze me, bitch.
Yeah. Anyways, the match itself, early on, it's just excellent. It's just like good trading of wrestling moves.
I'm not sure if you caught this, but I did. So the WrestleMania 30 match starts off immediately with Daniel Bryan going for a dropkick on Orton, Hurricane Rana to Batista. It starts off very fast paced. It gives the crowd exactly what they want out of the story. This match starts off, Daniel Bryan puts on a headlock.
Yeah, immediately slowing it down.
It's the exact polar opposite because he is now the exact polar opposite of the guy that he was 5 years prior to.
I do like one of my favorite early spots is this dropkick by Kofi managing to get Bryan to the outside. And he does that flop dive that he does over the top rope where he just essentially does a high jump over. I was like, God, I love that so much.
He can get so much air.
He's got such a good vertical. Yeah, it's crazy.
Although, for the love of God, Kofi, could you do chest day just one time?
He's allergic to chest day. There is no chest day.
Fucking chest, dude. Yeah. You just do it. He only wants to train his calves.
One of my favorite submissions early on, Bryan picks Kofi out of the air and immediately starts to transition him into a surfboard stretch. And I was like, oh my God, shades of ROH.
He's taunting him too.
Yeah. Oh, love it.
Bryan's just picking apart Kofi with these forearm shots. Kofi eventually does manage to hit his flying clothesline, and he goes right into the boom drop. Kofi hits a springboard dive. Bryan sidesteps him. So Kofi runs himself into the announce table because
face first. Very hard. It
was not fun.
No.
Bryan puts on a waist lock on Kofi that lasts about 10 years, but it actually was kind of cool because he's just talking shit the whole time.
Keeps it interesting.
Daniel Bryan is literally, he just out technical wrestles the shit out of Kofi.
It's all technical wrestling. He's just like, that's where I'm superior to Kofi, so that's what I'm going to do. Kofi at one point bursts out of the corner and Bryan picks him into a Boston Crab because Bryan has been doing his corner drop kicks. He hit 2 in a row. And on the third one, Kofi tries to burst out and meet him. And
he tries to do the cave in, what the fuck, Cameron Grimes finisher.
Yeah. And then Bryan just picks him and puts him in a Boston Crab. I'm still a technical wizard. Yeah.
So good. Kofi hits Bryan off the top rope 3 times. On the third one, Bryan just falls back like he's just knocked out. Just slowly falls backwards. Kofi hits a splash onto Bryan's back for a near fall. Bryan blocks the Trouble in Paradise, tries putting on a Boston Crab. Kofi contorts himself, turns it into a pin, but Bryan, being the pin master that he is, turns into his own pin.
Yeah.
Kofi hits a crossbody, which Bryan turns into a pin.
Yeah.
Kofi's able to
for a yes lock too.
Yeah, he's able to try to turn on a yes lock. Kofi isn't able to do it. There's a lot of counters in this stretch of time, a lot of them. Until eventually Bryan gets the advantage and he is in the corner. He puts on the most psychopath face imaginable and he just goes, yes. He starts doing the yes chant pose. Yeah. And the crowd is yelling at the top of, everyone's yelling at the top of their lungs. No.
I love when Bryan is contrarian to the rest of us.
Yeah. Bryan goes for a running knee. It's countered into a roll-up. Kofi's able to hit SOS. But Bryan turns the pinfall afterwards into a yes lock.
Yeah, turns the kick out into a yes lock, which was crazy.
And while he's doing it, by the way, he's fucking hit him in the ribs with elbows.
Yeah. Then we get
which
the
is
spot
fucking beautiful.
Where Kofi is telling Bryan to keep hitting it. Like, they get up and they're face to face and they're trading kicks, which, like, trading kicks with Daniel Bryan always sounds like a really bad idea.
Unless you're like Lionel Messi.
Yeah. Then we get a great reverse suplex by Kofi for 2, and then we get some outside shenanigans because, of course, New Day and Rowan, because Bryan was with Rowan at this point. Remember Rowan?
Rowan was great with Bryan. He really actually was.
Woods gets clawed by Rowan, where he just has like the full claw on his head, and tossed over a desk. E gets clotheslined. Then Kofi manages to hit Trouble in Paradise to Rowan, and the rest of New Day hit Midnight Hour with Woods jumping off the desk.
Love Rowan is now dead.
And Rowan is now dead. Yes.
Bryan tried to go for a suicide dive right before when he's like halfway out the ropes. Kofi's able to deck him.
Yep.
He misses the Trouble in Paradise, eats a running knee, and kicks out of one of the most amazing near falls this company's ever produced.
That's where I lost all my hope, was when the running knee got hit. I was like, oh, here it is. And then when he kicked out, I was like, oh my God, they're going to do it. They're going to do it.
Yeah, and then New Day's back in Kofi's corner. Bryan drags him over right in front of them, does the dead man stomps. Bryan turns him around, puts on the yes lock. But Kofi is not having it, baby. He's in it for a while.
He escapes into guard eventually.
Yeah, Kofi escapes it. His shoulder is doing some weird contortions. I don't know how the fuck he didn't tear something there.
It's because he skips chest day. He's got more flexibility in his shoulders and chest.
No, that's not how that works. That's not how that works.
That's science right there, baby.
It's not how that works. He starts hitting forearm shots on Bryan. Eventually, he's like you said, he's got him in the guard. He's still hitting those forearm shots, and then Kofi turns the tide on Bryan. He grabs him by the arms, starts doing the dead man stomps onto Bryan. They look really fucking stiff because Kofi obviously doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to that move.
Not as much as Bryan does. No,
Daniel Bryan's move. Trouble in Paradise. 1, 2, 3, ladies and gentlemen. Kofi Kingston is your new WWE champion.
The reaction shots of the people backstage cheering for Kofi were crazy. The reactions of Woods and E are crazy.
Woods bawling.
Woods immediate waterworks. And like I joked about it earlier, Woods has been on record from 2016, like when they were together,
probably
being like, one of our goals as a team is for Kofi to win the championship. People get mad at me saying, like, you should have goals for yourself. You should want to be WWE champion. It's like, no.
Yeah, he said, I want to win King of the Ring.
I want to be King of the Ring.
That's all he's ever wanted.
to be WWE champion. Like, yeah. And it happened, and it came true. And, like, again, there's something very authentic about, like, when wrestling is real and raw in a way that isn't, like, exploitative. Like, the fact that, like, you can tell they've been together for so long. The guys in the New Day care about each other. They're
legitimately very close friends in real life.
So the ability to then see them celebrate their like elder statesman, finally reach the pinnacle, right, was crazy. And they didn't have to draw anything else up with like there didn't need to be any like big other part of the storyline. It's just we're just so proud of Kofi, right? God, it's such a good time. And then Brock Lesnar ruined it.
I mean, look, it sucked how it happened. 6 seconds on a SmackDown. That was not great. But like, what a fucking title reign it was for Kofi.
Great title reign.
The people he put down Samoa Joe, Randy Orton, AJ Styles,
Dolph Ziggler. It should have been me.
There were so many like Dolph. he and. In like very good competitive matches, and he was made. He was put over strong throughout like his title reign and all that stuff. Really, like, he lost to Brock Lesnar. Everyone else does.
The way it ended should have been better. But in terms of reign, I defend that reign. I think it was great. Kofi Kingston is forever my WWE champion. It's my guy.
John Cena is actually forever my WWE champion. So.
Yeah, but is he your WWE? Yeah, great time.
No, he's just the best WWE champion.
He's the doctor of thugonomics. Let's move to our last match, which is from this year. That's right. Yeah. It's a Thunderdome era match, baby.
I was excited for this because I vaguely remember the match. Not really. I didn't actually like watch it.
I watched it, but I feel like I was doing something else while I was watching it.
I think I caught like bits and pieces of it, but I kept like leaving the app on my phone because I just kind of wanted to do something else.
So it is Fastlane 2021. It is babyface Daniel Bryan facing Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. The winner will go on to face Edge at WrestleMania. What was it, 30? What did we just have? 37?
37.
37. God, it's all blending together.
Yeah.
The winner faces Edge. Edge is the special enforcer for this match. We know how it ends. They end up having a triple threat. Spoilers for the WrestleMania main event that just fucking
Daniel
happened.
Bryan did not win this match.
No, spoilers. He also didn't win the triple threat. Though I predicted him to because I thought they were going to swerve us all. But here we are.
Didn't. If I'm being honest.
No, you predicted that correctly.
I don't remember the predictions. I predicted Roman 100%.
You picked Roman 100%.
Yeah. I was excited for this because Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, this heel character that he's had for the last, the better part of the last year, has been fucking amazing. It's like, I don't care what people say. The tribal boar or whatever the hell the cool thing to say on Twitter is.
If people do that, I don't follow those people because they're terrible.
I just notice it. It happens a lot with the pro AEW crowd. I'm not an anti-AEW guy. I love All Elite Wrestling. I used to fucking review it for the website back when I was not retired from writing. I really, really enjoyed. I really still enjoy. I love this whole thing they have going on with Kenny Omega and his weird facial hair and now Hangman Page and all this stuff. I love AEW. Please leave WWE alone if you don't like it. Just don't watch.
Stop
don't
watching
comment.
It. Yeah,
just
leave it alone.
It's as simple as that. Just don't fucking watch it.
There's so much wrestling. There's
like
so much fucking wrestling.
It's one thing if it's constructive criticism, if it's legitimate criticisms. But if you're just like calling Roman Reigns a piece of shit and like he's so boring because you love Kenny Omega, it's like, yeah. I'm sure I, love the fuck out of John Cena. That didn't mean Batista was a bad champion back in the day. That didn't mean fucking AJ Styles was a shit champion in TNA. Or, AJ Styles in TNA being an awesome champion. Didn't mean that fucking CM Punk was a shit champion in WWE and all this stuff. It's like, I can understand why if Roman Reigns in this heel persona is not your style, if you just didn't like Roman Reigns from the jump, and, you've not noticed his improvement. If
you haven't noticed his improvement, though, get your eyes checked.
Yeah,
he's miles ahead of where else he's been. Yeah.
If you hate this Roman Reigns character because you are a smark and you are listening to other smarks, I fucking hate you. Just know that. I hate you. Because he is awesome. He is legit so good in this.
Wrestling is too short to spend your time just hating shit. All right? I hate the 24/7 championship. I don't pay it any fucking mind anymore, though. I just leave it alone. I focus on the wrestling that's interesting. I am intrigued now because Malachi Black is a thing. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Also, fucking literally everything else in WWE sucks right now. except for Roman Reigns.
There are very exceptional performers in WWE. And I like them, and I will follow them, and I like watching their matches. Like, I will watch a Cesaro match if it's on. I will watch pretty much any women's wrestler right now in WWE. WWE has so much women's talent.
Bianca Belair is awesome, but she's in this never-ending feud with Bayley that fucking sucks.
WWE could use a clean reset of a lot of their storylines. Anyways.
And it'll happen when the crowds are back, probably. But anyways, speaking of no crowds, Fastlane 2021.
Bryan's technical prowess versus Reigns' strength. Very similar in style to the Lesnar match. Obviously, Reigns isn't OP like Lesnar was then. Though I will say Reigns does have an Infinity Gauntlet on his right hand. Interesting.
Which is awesome. I love that gold, punching glove.
Yeah.
Fuck it is.
Early on, Reigns with a headlock takeover, kind of in control. But then we get something you had alluded to earlier, which is Bryan with some serious joint manipulation. He likes fucking with people's joints.
He is just taunting Roman because he knows he can out-wrestle him. And this is also kind of a callback to their match for Fastlane in 2015.
Yeah.
Which we left off of here because I don't remember what I told you, but I said I wanted this one.
We wanted like a within the last year Bryan match.
Yeah, and it would have been the AJ one, but honestly, I just kind of wanted to see Roman Reigns. So
yeah,
here we are. But yeah, no, this this was a cool little callback because I mean a lot of the premise of that 2015 feud, it was Roman, feeling like he needed to earn his spot and all that jazz, and Bryan being the super mondo babyface and WWE messing up completely trying to get Roman Reigns over.
Yep.
But a lot of it was Bryan being a better wrestler, and that is what he was saying to Roman. Like, I am a better wrestler than you, all that jazz. And I'll be fucking damn if 6 years later he isn't proving that to the motherfucker, that he is a better technical wrestler than Roman Reigns.
An excellent technical wrestler. We get the backflip reversal. We get the turnbuckle kind of moonsault reversal. Haven't seen that in a hot minute.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while since we saw that. And then Bryan's trying to like power up and do his things, and Reigns just catches him in a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, my favorite thing, Roman at one point hits like a warning shot and just starts talking trash. And it's so much trash talk. He's like, at one point he goes, I told you, you could take your little ass home right now, and I'm going to send you there.
Reigns slaps Bryan to the outside at one point, and then Edge just watches because he's being a good special guest enforcer. He's just here to enforce. Nothing has had to happen to be enforced yet, so he's just hanging out, and Reigns just jawing at him. Reigns, really, his ability to talk in ring, carrying during the Thunderdome era.
Yeah, fucking Bryan brought it right back to him though. Like, he had big Brock Lesnar match energy here in his attitude. He's just like, after he gets a Greco-Roman knuckle lock and he gets the advantage on it, and he just asks Roman, "You want a break, huh?" Like, he's talking his shit too. So at one point, Bryan reverses into an armbar. He really is just toying with Roman with all these submissions. He's like, hey, you are the big strong man, and I'm going to wear you the fuck down.
Yeah, and he does. This is a really good
side headlock. Roman is pissed because, as what heels do when they are upset, they put on a side headlock.
Yep. It's their whole gimmick.
Bryan reverses it into an arm lock with his knees. We get some joint manipulation, baby. Eventually, we get that tilt-a-whirl slam you were talking about, which was absolutely stunning.
Beautiful.
Roman just starts clubbing Bryan.
Yeah. And this is when we get to the outside, and that's when Edge just kind of jaws at Reigns. Reigns jaws at him back. Yeah,
which we love. We love a good trash talk.
We do.
Roman is just wearing the fuck out of Bryan with his strength. This is the point where Roman is now on top because the heel always has to be on top for a long time. At one point, Bryan tries to go for a top rope Hurricane Rana. Roman grabs him, puts him in like the Styles Clash position, kind of drops down to the floor. It wasn't like I think it was the last episode. I don't remember who did that to Bryan, but it got dangerously close to.
It was last episode. Yeah,
spiking the motherfucker. Yeah. But in this one, he does it. It's pretty effortless, to be honest. Turns it into a Boston Crab.
A very lightly applied Boston Crab, I will say.
I will also say Daniel Bryan, fucking great counter out of this. He like flips out of it forward and rolls up Roman for a near fall. Roman then. I will say Roman caught Bryan on it. I want to say he caught him on a dive.
Yeah, he did.
But he fell and then picked him back up again.
Yeah.
Bryan runs him into the post, and then hits his apron flying knee because he loves doing that move.
Check it off on the match scorecard.
We get a knee drop from the top rope onto Roman's left shoulder, and now Bryan is starting to work that motherfucker.
Yep.
Missile drop kick for a near fall. Yes kicks.
Yes kicks. I love the yes kicks.
Yeah, Roman catches the last one because Bryan's just never able to do the last yes kick. You know the one, everyone. The one I'm talking about. Oh. Yeah, that one.
I bet if he drags him into the corner, he'd just be able to kick the guy in the head.
Drags him into the corner and hits his patented vicious fucking uppercut. Roman Reigns' uppercut is one of the best punches in the history of professional wrestling. It's so good.
What a surprise. Roman Reigns is a good professional wrestler.
It really is.
There are still people who are mad about that, but like this man can professionally wrestle.
At a very high level.
At an elite level.
It's awesome. Bryan hits a Hurricane Rana, but Roman reverses it, hits a powerbomb. Roman tried to go for a powerbomb. Bryan reversed it into a Hurricane Rana. And then from there, hit the final yes kick for a near fall.
Is that when we get the face stomps? The dead man stomps?
He grabs him, hits the dead man stomps, and then like turns it immediately while still holding onto the arm into a yes lock. And he is wrenching the fuck out of that shoulder, by the way, while he's putting it on.
And then Reigns being like, I am a strong boy. Watch me be a strong boy. Decides to lifting power bomb, like power out of the yes lock by doing the lifting power bomb.
After some ground and pound, which looks stiff as fuck.
Yep. That gets a 2. Then we get the official spot, right?
So Bryan kicks Roman on a spear attempt. He goes back into the corner. Bryan hits the running knee, but he did not hit it on Roman. No, he hit it on the referee.
He fucked that referee up. I would not want to take a Bryan running knee as a bump spot.
Yeah, then Roman turns around, hits him with a spear. Edge, being the special enforcer, is now the referee of this match. 1, 2, Bryan kicks out.
Good job being an impartial special enforcer.
He also had some very quick reactions. He was in that ring.
He was
very fast.
Ready to go. Higher Edge is an official when he's done.
When he's done.
When he's done. Yeah. Edge, very similar to Bryan, except a longer wait period.
Very long. Bryan puts on a triangle choke. Roman picks him up, but Bryan maneuvers him somehow. I don't know how the fuck Daniel Bryan managed to do this. But he contorted himself in a way that he like swung himself up and around and was able to put on a yes lock.
I just wrote, somehow we are in a yes lock.
Yeah, somehow we're in a yes lock. It looked really, really good.
And then who's here to save the day? It's Jey Uso, baby.
Uso!
Super kick to Bryan. And one to Edge for fuck you, that's why.
For no reason whatsoever, he takes out Edge.
Just a drive-by on Edge. Jey has a chair, tosses Edge into the ring post. Bryan hits the running knee to Uso. Heyman's reaction in the background as this is happening is fucking perfect. Because he's just sitting there, and he's like clearly excited that Jay's here. And then once Bryan hits him with the running knee, he's just this look of like, we asked you to do one fucking thing. we asked you to do one thing, Jay, and you fucked it up.
By the way, Paul Heyman being absolutely terrified of Roman Reigns this whole run has been so incredible.
It's so good.
So Bryan picks up the chair. He accidentally hits Uso with the chair. Accidentally hits Edge with the chair. That eats a Superman punch. Roman goes for a spear, but Bryan hooks him, puts on a yes lock. Roman, after a while, taps, but Edge is out cold. The referee is still out. So who the fuck knows what is going on? And then eventually Edge picks himself back up, picks up the chair, creams Daniel Bryan with the chair, creams Roman with the chair, walks away after screaming, "This is mine," and breathing super fucking heavily into the mic. Super heavy. Roman crawls over to Bryan, drapes himself over him. The referee counts to 3. Roman Reigns retains the Universal title.
Tribal Chief. Pay your respects. I like the finish. I remember being really confused as to why Edge was in the tweener role, and then I remembered they're probably setting up for the triple threat, and with the triple threat, it's probably better to have somebody fill the tweener role. Bryan was pretty freshly babyface, so having Edge kind of fill a tweener role, plus Edge is also better as a heel. Always has been, always will be.
Yeah.
He's a perfect little asshole.
And he has been cutting some fucking great promos since he came back.
Yeah, I'm glad Edge is back. Upon further reflection, the 2021 Royal Rumble was weird as hell.
I don't remember. I haven't gone back and watched it.
I don't love it. I don't think it'll be in my like Rumble rotation. Probably every once in a while, but like, it's a weird match.
It's no 2020 Royal Rumble.
2020 Royal Rumble was beautiful.
It was awesome. It was one of the best matches of last year.
Yeah,
like legitimately.
Just Keith Lee big boy gif. That's all I want. That is all 5 of our Daniel Bryan matches this week. Javier, what are your thoughts on the return from retirement of Bryan? What have your thoughts been on this kind of era of Bryan's career?
I haven't hated it. I kind of liked it. He's kind of been like a mercenary technical wrestler of sorts. I'm really interested to see what's going to be the case with him moving forward, because last time we saw him, he lost to Roman on SmackDown, I believe, and he was just banished from SmackDown. So the logical thing that's going to happen here is he pops up on Raw.
Yeah.
Which we have a draft coming soon down the pipeline. I assume that's when he'll pop back up again. Seeing him against Bobby Lashley would be cool.
Again,
I'm
similar
really
dynamic to the Reigns and the Lesnar match.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what he could do on Raw. It's been a very long time since he's been on Raw, since pre-retirement.
Yeah,
so
he's been SmackDown exclusive for a long time.
Yeah, we don't exactly know what's going to happen there, and it's a very interesting situation they've got going on there. I'm excited for that one, but yeah, I don't know. I really like this whole Bryan thing. I really like the stuff he was doing surrounding the IC title last year. Thought that was really fun. Obviously his match with AJ on SmackDown for the IC title was fucking incredible. Like legitimately one of the best WWE matches of last year. And it's been weird because he's no longer the yes movement guy. He's kind of like the adult version of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like he's evolved. He's just the technical master. He's like the indie darling who made it, essentially. Because there's lots of these guys who are just like really excellent technical wrestlers who WWE just isn't going to give the top title. He's the one who made it, so he has a little bit more like cred. Like, yeah, he's a little bit more legit. Not saying that like Cesaro isn't legit, but Cesaro's never been world champion. Bryan has been, right?
Yeah, he's a 5-time world champion.
5-time.
He's been really successful.
He's like the indie Booker T, 5-time.
Yeah, you literally cannot have asked. I don't think you could have asked for a better run for this guy when he signed there from ROH and Evolve and all that jazz. Him coming off the independents and signing with WWE was obviously going to be scary because no guy who looked like him or came from his background had succeeded there. Yeah, and then CM Punk did. And then, obviously it kind of comes full circle because Punk was the first like real indie guy that was able to shine for the WWE. And it also was Punk leaving that gave Daniel Bryan the opportunity to have that story at WrestleMania 30 and all that stuff, Also, yes, we understand that we missed the, over the limit match between those two from 2012. We will get to that.
Yeah,
we will get to that
in somebody else's episode. Ooh,
whose will
in
it be?
The eventual Mike Chioda episode.
I was gonna say that, but yeah, no, I really am interested to see what happens next for Bryan because the story, I'm telling you, story doesn't end in WWE. The story is not going to end.
You have been convinced of this the whole time, and you know what? I think you're right. But where it ends, it's not going to
end for Vince McMahon.
Where it ends, I don't know, but I'm excited to see it.
I think it'll end in an untelevised match in the backwoods of fucking Aberdeen, Washington.
When he's like 60 years old?
When he's like 60 years old. It's a match that was put together by fucking Gabe Sapolsky, and the tickets are like $5.
He's gonna wrestle Buddy. He's gonna be like Ray and just stick around till his son's wrestling.
No, he's gonna wrestle Terry Funk.
Oh geez. Oh, prayers up to Terry Funk too. Apparently.
Oh, what happened to Terry Funk?
He's been battling dementia, according to some reports. So
prayers dude. Up to Terry.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Terry Funk. I wish him nothing but the best. Obviously, I'm hoping these reports are not true.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Or if they are, that he's got the support and that he's doing okay.
Yeah. Hopefully, he's gonna be fine. But yes.
One more run out of retirement for Terry.
Guess it won't be Daniel Bryan's last match. No. Let's feed him fucking Nigel McGuinness. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? That's going to wrap up this week's episode. Javier, where can people find you on social media?
I'm on the Twitter machine at JMelloSports. Follow me if you'd like. Interact with me if you'd like. I'm very lonely these days.
Follow me on Twitter at itsEvanGomes, ITSEVANGOMES. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Crossbody of Work. Follow us on Instagram too. Maybe I should post more on Instagram. Probably should. I say that every week. If you have ideas for who we should cover in the coming weeks, let us know either through the DMs or crossbodyworkpod@gmail.com. Next week, do you remember who we got next week?
Actually, don't know.
Well, then I'll surprise you with this. Next week, we are covering a star of a bygone era, one of the most beautiful wrestlers of all time, especially compared to all you sweat hogs. It's Rick Rude.
Oh.
Rick Rude next week. Get your airbrush tights out, baby.
I was like, are we doing what female wrestler are we doing next week?
We're doing Rick Rude, a beautiful man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited about that, actually. Yeah. Rick Rude is awesome. I really like Rick Rude.
Rick Rude is one of those ones that I always see like certain, narcissist characters compared to. And I haven't really done a deep dive into his stuff, so I'm excited to see kind of the evolution of Rick Rude and what he brought to the table, and probably him being a complete jerk, because that's apparently what he was best at. So not the actual person, the character of Rick Rude.
I'm hip. The character of Rick Rude was fun.
Yeah. But that is going to be next week. And we appreciate you sticking around for all 3 Daniel Bryan episodes. If you haven't heard the other 2, go back and listen. What are you doing? You're doing this out of order. Go back.
Yeah, fucking weirdos.
Yeah, you missed one, go back. But that's it. Javier, any last words for the people?
Just keep living life. I'm very, very fortunate that I still have health. I still have the people I care about are healthy. We managed to make it through a pandemic, and everyone that I know and love is still okay. That doesn't have to be the case for the majority of the people out there. I know that, it's obviously a very, very troubling time for a lot of people, but just know that you're not actually alone, Just if you need anything, you need any help, reach out to your boys.
Yep.
If you feel like you're alone and you've got nobody, we'll fucking be there, man.
Yeah, we're your boys now.
Live.
Maybe
we love doing all this.
We'll have to start a Discord, and then people can chat and hang out. We can be friends.
Yeah, when we say your boys, we mean y'all too.
Yeah, we mean y'all. Y'all are part of your boys. But that's it for this week. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.